Hi everyone, welcome to the class 4 of Unit Biomolecules. In the previous class, we have seen the structural part of the glucose, the cyclic structures, that is how to represent with Fischer projection formula and the Haworth structure. Now, in the naming of the compounds there, so followed by the structure, so we'll try to see the importance of the designations used in the name. Then we'll continue for the next monosaccharide fructose. Now just to recall the structure, now if you take the Haworth structure, the alpha glucose can be considered as CH2OH. I think everyone has practiced the structure. Now this is an alternate way and a simple way to remember. So once all the structural support is very clear, now you just concentrate this. Now start from this 6th carbon CH2OH H. Now whatever the ending atom is there, you take for the next carbon to continue and alternate with OH. H, OH. It is ended with OH, take the OH above, then it's alternate H. Then H is ended here, take above H and write its alternate OH below. So starting from here, CH2OH H, the same you take for the next carbon, H, OH. Next you take from OH, OH, H. Next you take from H, H, OH. Now the last and the first carbon here to designate the anomer. So here you remember alpha and beta. If you write OH below, it is alpha, and instead of that, on the anomeric carbon, if you write the OH above, it will be beta. Already you learned. So just to give the significance in the name, I am writing a supportive structure. So just an alternate way to remember, CH2OH, H. So then H is ended, hence the next carbon you start with that H, OH. Next OH, H. Next H, OH. So as we have written alpha here, so the other structure will try to consider beta. So to differentiate that, OH I am writing above. Now OH below indicates alpha, OH above indicates beta on the anomeric carbon. Now if you consider the names, when we are writing any monosaccharide name or a disaccharide name, so disaccharide name we'll try to discuss later. Now when we are writing a monosaccharide name, so the first designation of the name should be its configuration as anomer, that is alpha or beta. Now we know that, so this first structure is alpha configuration isomer of the glucose. It is the anomer with alpha configuration. Then followed by a hyphen, and you need to indicate the designation of the carbohydrate with respect to optical property that we have seen earlier with the glyceraldehyde on the last penultimate carbon atom. So the last carbon atom is also referred to as penultimate carbon atom, last in the sense last asymmetric carbon. Penultimate carbon or last carbon which is asymmetric, that is chiral carbon. The last asymmetric carbon or the penultimate carbon, on that we have discussed if the hydroxyl group on right hand side, it is designated as D. Hydroxyl group on left hand side, it is designated as L. And we know that all the naturally occurring carbohydrates are having D configuration. And the second indication about the structure is D configuration for the carbohydrate, followed by a hyphen, and within the round bracket, so you write the optical rotation. So we know that glucose is dextrose, hence it is indicated by a plus symbol, followed by the name of the carbohydrate, glucose. So all these indications are very, very important. So based on that, So identification information of the structure will be asked as competitive exam question as well as for 1 mark in the unit. As the unit is 1 mark weightage unit, all these supportive informations are very important. Now similarly, if you take the second structure, so anomeric information is, it is a beta configuration, and we know that all the carbohydrates are D conformers, and the optical rotation, so as glucose is dextrose, it is plus, followed by, either you can write hyphen or you continue with the name. So this hyphen is not compulsory, it is an optional. Just to indicate the name significance, I have mentioned all. Now this is how the name of the compound is used. Now if you observe the significances here, now what is the alpha indicates? So alpha indicates about the isomer as anomers. So beta here indicates, so which anomer is the respective structure. So if you write alpha or beta, so that gives the respective anomer of the glucose. Then the D designates hydroxyl group on right hand side. On the last carbon, that is on the last asymmetric carbon or chiral carbon. On the last chiral carbon, so if the hydroxyl group on right hand side, in the Haber structure it will come below the plane. So here the last asymmetric carbon will be the fifth carbon, that fifth will be the last asymmetric. On the fifth carbon, hydroxyl group is below, not that one. So if you consider the fifth, if you write the position in the cyclic structure it is involved in, so this we are going to observe in the open chain structure. Just recall the structure. So with the open structure will be easy to remember. CHOH, HOH, and OHH, then OH 2 times right side, it is RSR square, what we discussed in the previous class. Now this fifth carbon, asymmetric carbon, so its hydroxyl group on the right hand side, so it is used to indicate this D. Already we discussed that in the last class. And this third symbol to indicate the plus or minus, so it is a dextrorotatory compound. Dextrorotatory, that is about the optical rotation. This symbol will indicate. Hence, a monosaccharide name, a systematic monosaccharide name will have these 3 parts along with the name of the monosaccharide. It is alpha to indicate which anomer it is, D to indicate the configuration of hydroxyl group on right hand side as a naturally occurring carbohydrate, plus symbol or minus symbol to indicate the optical rotation. So here also the same information. So plus for optical rotation, so D for position of hydroxyl group on last chiral carbon or asymmetric carbon. So this is one very important information what you need to observe when you look into the names of monosaccharides. Then just a small one more competitive exam information. So why I'm taking all these competitive topics along with the theory is that it is the most easiest theoretical concept unit, so that if you understand here, so solving the competitive questions will be easy for you. So along with this, so it will be helpful for your 1 mark question preparation. If you take in the open chain structure, now there is a formula to indicate what are the possible isomers from the given compound. How many isomers are possible for a given monomer or a monosaccharide if it is asked. If you use this formula 2 to the power of n, it is possible to calculate, where n is the number of chiral carbons or asymmetric carbons present in the given compound. Now if you take the glucose, the above one is not chiral because C double bond O. O satisfies this two valency for carbon, hence it is not asymmetric. Whereas this second carbon, if you take third, fourth, fifth, again sixth is not asymmetric because two hydrogens bonded to the same carbon will make the carbon as symmetric, hence it is not asymmetric, it is not chiral. Now this is a chiral carbon, fifth one. So left side hydrogen, right side hydroxyl group, below CH2OH, above with 4 carbon atom as a side chain. So hence it is a different group. Hence all the 4 are different for this. It is one chiral. Then the fourth carbon, if you observe, left side hydrogen, right side hydroxyl, below 2 carbon containing chain, above 3 carbon containing chain. Hence all the 4 are different for this. Again it is chiral. For the third carbon, if you take again hydroxyl group on left hand side, hydrogen on right hand side, above 2 carbon chain, below 3 carbon chain, hence all the 4 bonded to the carbon are different, hence it is also asymmetric or chiral. And the second carbon, if you take, so left side hydrogen, right side hydroxyl group, above CHO group, below with 4 carbon atom side chain. So hence it is also asymmetric or chiral carbon. Hence, if you take in the glucose, there are 4 asymmetric carbons. Hence, number of isomers of glucose will be, this will be again a very important competitive information. So it is not there in the NCERT text. Just observe the information as you are learning the structure will be more helpful for you to remember. Now, by considering the asymmetric carbon, if you consider in the formula 2 to the power of 4 for the glucose, it is 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. So it will be 4, 4 into 2, 8, 8 into 2 is 16. Hence, there are 16 possible isomers for the glucose. So there are 16 different isomers are possible for the glucose. So which may be epimers, anomers, all those we'll try to learn in the next information. Hope this is clear. So with the naming, we try to learn how to calculate the number of isomers possible for a given monosaccharide. We have taken with the example of glucose. For a glucose, there are 16 different isomers are possible. So by changing the position of the respective groups bonded to the carbon, all are structural isomers. Now we'll learn what are anomers. It's already we learned, so just we'll specify now. So anomers are the isomeric compounds which have same configuration except on the anomeric carbon or functional carbon. Functional carbon is also called as anomeric carbon. So except the configuration on this anomeric carbon, remaining all the configuration for the molecule will be same. So the examples of anomers will be always for the same compound, so with alpha and beta form. Hence example of anomers is alpha D plus glucose and beta D plus glucose. So these two, if you take, so these two are anomers. Why they are anomers? Because their configuration on all the carbon atom it is same except on the anomeric carbon or functional carbon. So such a isomer is called as anomers. Similarly, we have one more important isomer to learn. Again, it is helpful for disaccharide structure to remember as well as for competitive question, which is epimers. Again, epimers are the structural isomers which will have same molecular formula and same functional group is present. But the difference here is that, so they will have the same configuration. There is the isomers having same configuration on all the carbon atoms except one carbon which is not an anomer, which is not anomeric carbon or other than anomeric carbon. So those isomers of the compounds which will have same configuration on all the carbon atoms except one carbon. So there is a change in configuration there. So that carbon is other than the anomeric carbon. Just to remember, so we'll take the simple example. We learn with the Haber structure only. Just recall the structure of glucose. We'll take beta glucose. So OH above on the anomeric carbon. So for the beta glucose. Now the structure of beta glucose is CH2OH, H, then starting with H, OH, then starting with OH, H, again starting with H, OH. Now this is beta D plus glucose. Now just observe one more structure what I am going to write now. Carefully observe the structure and try to note the difference what I am going to write. Now anomeric carbon atom, it should be same, it should not change. Other than anomeric carbon, so in all the carbon atom configuration is same except in any one. So now 1, 2, 3, 4. So on these 4, any one there is a difference when compared this, then it is said to be an epimer. I will write CH2OH, H. Here instead of H above, we'll write OH above and H below. Remaining configuration will retain as same. What structure I have written here, it is with beta configuration, the first carbon. So again it is a D isomer, so dextrose sugar, but it is not glucose, it is galactose. Now you observe, so the change in the configuration at this carbon, so that is the fourth carbon is making as a different compound, so that is as an epimer of the glucose. Now this carbon will give the significance, the fourth carbon. So here the hydroxyl group is above, whereas in the glucose on the fourth carbon, the hydroxyl group is below. Here it is above, here it is below. Hence, the example is, so beta D glucose and beta D galactose are said to be epimers. You can also write alpha D glucose and alpha D galactose. When you are comparing both, you try to take them in the same configuration, whereas you show the difference in any one configuration. Now, galactose is said to be epimer. Galactose is an epimer of glucose. Galactose is an epimer of glucose with respect to the fourth carbon, C4. Hence, it is considered as a fourth carbon epimer of glucose. So this is how the two important isomers are considered. So one is anomers. So with alpha and beta configuration, it is anomer. So with the same configuration, the difference in any other carbon atom configuration will make it as epimer. Similarly, glucose and mannose, if we take, they are epimers. Like this, there are many examples. So the best example to remember for you, so which is required for the disaccharide lactose to write. So lactose is made up of the beta D galactose and beta D glucose. There the two structures are required. Hence I have taken the same example to explain epimer. So epimers are the isomers, so which will have the same molecular formula and will have the same configuration with respect to anomeric carbon, but there is difference lying in any one carbon. That carbon is not a functional carbon. Apart from this functional carbon, any one position it will have a difference, remaining all it is same. That means if you take the fifth carbon, its configuration is same. If you take the third carbon, configuration is same. If you take the second carbon, the configuration is same. But the difference lies in this a special case. So that will make the compound as epimers. Hope this information is clear. Now with this basic structural concepts, now we'll move on to the next respective monosaccharide. It is fructose. Now we'll learn with fructose. Again, we'll basically learn what is the common name of it and about little structural information. Now, fructose is commonly known as fruit sugar. Because of the abundance of this monosaccharide in all the fruits, so it is having the name fructose here, FRU, so is related to the significance of the common name fruit sugar. So fructose is commonly known as fruit sugar. So if you consider from the classification, so it is having 6 carbons in it, hence it is hexose. It is having ketone as a functional group, hence it is ketose. By considering both, so it is classified as ketohexose. Then again, as we all know, so all the carbohydrates are optically active compound. So fructose is the only levorotatory compound. So optical rotation point, if you take, fructose will rotate the plane polarized light towards the left hand side. So hence it is a levorotatory sugar. Levorotatory sugars are named as levulose. Dextrorotatory sugars are named as dextroses. Levorotatory sugars are named as levulose. With respect to sign convention, so it is given as minus to indicate that levorotation. So this will be few simple basic informations regarding the fructose. So fructose is fruit sugar. So with 6 carbon atom, ketone as a functional group, and it is optically active compound and which rotates the plane polarized light towards the left hand side. Now with respect to glucose and fructose, so glucose and fructose, they are represented with the same molecular formula C6H12O6. They're having same molecular formula, but they have different functional group. And glucose and fructose are functional isomers. As they are having different functional group in them, so they are called as functional isomers. So the molecular formula of fructose is also same as glucose. It is C6H12O6. So these are few simple basic points about the fructose. Now we learn with the structure of fructose. So first we'll concentrate open chain structure, then we'll relate the cyclic structure. So as we have learned with respect to glucose, now it will be easy for you to follow. Now when you are writing the fructose structure, similar to glucose, you try to write 6 carbon atoms in a straight chain. And to understand the significance, just you give the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in glucose, we are writing the first carbon as CHO and the last carbon as CH2OH. Here also you write the last carbon as CH2OH, but first instead of CHO, you also write the first also as CH2OH. Then the functional group here, you try to consider the second carbon that you consider as ketone group. So apart from this, so you consider all the remaining information of glucose as same for fructose also. So you make the tetravalency state for each carbon, then you keep on assigning by recalling the CIP rules. Now the second carbon is the functional group carbon. It is the functional group carbon. First and last you write CH2, then from CIP rules. So in the glucose, in the second carbon, OH on right hand, then on the third carbon it is S, and the fourth carbon it is on right, and on the fifth carbon again it is on right, so remaining it is hydrogen. So this configuration is same, or you can also observe that, so except first and two, the remaining all it is same as that of glucose. From third carbon to sixth carbon, so the configuration and the formula, everything is same as that of glucose, but the first one, instead of CHO, CH2OH, the second one is the main functional group, ketone group, C double bond O. So by remembering this easily, you can able to practice the structure. Now once it is done, now it is about the open chain structure of fructose. So again, it is a D sugar. As cyclization is not there, alpha and beta will not come. So it is D, as it is a levorotatory sugar, minus, and the name of the compound, it is fructose. Now if you consider in the two possible cyclic structures. So in the case of glucose, it is the functional carbon there, it was the first carbon and the fifth carbon. Here the functional group is second carbon and the fifth carbon's hydroxyl group. Fifth carbon hydroxyl group and the second functional group ketone, so will undergo a cyclization. So this functional carbon will interact with the carbon of the fifth carbon's hydroxyl group. As a result, cyclization takes place. The structure is similar. Just for remembering the structure, so I am considering this CH2OH group in one case towards left hand side for the second carbon, and in the other case OH I am considering on the left hand side, CH2OH I will consider on right hand side. Now OH, how it comes, you just recall the glucose structure. So it is a ketone group. Once it interacts with this hydroxyl group, so this H will be accepted by this O, and the O will link the two carbon atoms. So that I have represented remaining carbon. So it is the third carbon, OH left side, and the fourth carbon, OH right side, and on the fifth carbon, so that OHO is linking these two carbon. As a result of that, the double bond O is cleaved and it is formed as OH. The last carbon, CH2OH, has it. Hope you have understood. So I have written the first carbon here. Now this double bond O is reduced to OH by interacting with the fifth carbon's hydroxyl group. It's same like glucose, but instead of aldehyde carbon, here the second ketone carbon is interacting. So if you take the second structure here, the similar information. The fifth carbon atom's hydroxyl group is reducing the ketone oxygen to OH, and the O of the hydroxyl group is linking the two carbon atoms. The last carbon acid, CH2OH. Now this is alpha D minus fructose, and this is beta D minus fructose. On the anomeric carbon atom, hydroxyl group on right hand side will make it as alpha. On the anomeric carbon atom, hydroxyl group on left hand side will make it as beta. Now to represent this in the Haworth structure, Now Haber structure you try to recall. So including the oxygen, we need to consider all the carbon atoms involved in the cyclic ring to make the ring representation, cyclic ring. Now there are 4 carbon atoms with oxygen is forming the cyclic ring, hence it is a 5-membered ring. So which is furan ring. As a result of presence of furan ring, so fructose is a furanose. Glucose is a pyranose because of presence of pyran ring. In the fructose, as furan ring is seen, so it is a furanose due to the presence of the Haworth ring as furan ring. After considering this, starting from this carbon, you try to give the number in the cyclic ring also. It is the 2nd carbon, 3rd carbon, 4th carbon. This is the 6th one. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now the cyclic carbon atoms are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So starting from here, you try to give 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the ring carbon atoms. Only the cyclic ring carbon atoms you mentioned here. Other numbers are not required. For the placement, you can practice this. I will starting from this 2nd carbon will assign. I will write the vertical lines at each carbon atom. So to represent the groups present on that carbon above the plane, below the plane. On the 2nd carbon, hydroxyl group on right hand side, since it is below. Now you can recall when CH2OH and H comes, CH2OH should be always above. But when CH2OH is there, you recall the Fisher's rule. So those group on right hand side, you try to place below, the other group above. Then on the 3rd carbon, OH is left, hence it is above in the Haber structure. In the 4th carbon, hydroxyl group on right hand side, hence OH is below on the 4th carbon. And on the 5th carbon, there is H and CH2OH. When H and CH2OH comes, always CH2OH should be placed above. Just for remembering, I am writing the structure like this, CH2OH formula. You can also write CH2OH like this also. So to have a neat representation of structure will be easy to write. Then other atom is hydrogen. Here also the same, CH2OH on right hand side, hence it is below, OH above. Here on the 3rd carbon, OH left side, hence it is above. OH right side, hence it is below. On the 5th carbon, H and CH2OH is there, hence always CH2OH H if it is present for the same carbon, CH2OH above, H below. Now, if you observe the structure here, on the 2nd carbon, which is a functional carbon, the position of hydroxyl group, if you note, so hydroxyl group below the plane, so this will be alpha D minus fructose. You can also include the name in this. So if you include the name furan, so fructofuranose will be the name. And this will be beta D minus fructose. So these are the only 2 monosaccharides you need to practice with their open chain structure. So I prefer for you to follow the same method. So write the open chain structure, practice the Fisher's ring, then cyclic ring with Haworth representation. So once every concept is clear, so you need to immediately write the Haworth structure for examination point of view. Haworth structures are expected for exam to practice, but these structures are supportive to learn that. Once the structural support is clear, then you will not do any mistake here. Any one configuration, if you change also, the structure is wrong. Hope you know the importance of representation of configuration. Hence don't take the chance, practice in a better way to remember the final structure. Now this is with respect to the information regarding the 2nd monosaccharide fructose. Now with this basic information, now we'll learn the 2nd classification of carbohydrates, that is disaccharides. Now what are disaccharides? As we have learned in the classification, so these are the class of carbohydrates which is under sugar, so which upon hydrolysis, these carbohydrates on hydrolysis with any enzymes or any particular chemical substances will yield two monosaccharide units. Disaccharides are the class of sugars which on hydrolysis produces two monosaccharide units. So that will be the basic information regarding the disaccharide. Now, when we comes to the disaccharides, or when we are learning with the next higher classification, here it is the bond information what we need to remember. Now, the bond which links the two monosaccharides together together is called as a glycosidic bond or glycosidic linkage. It is called as a glycosidic bond or glycosidic linkage. Now, how this glycosidic linkage is formed? So the glycosidic bond is formed by the interaction of hydroxyl group. So during the interaction of two hydroxyl group, one water molecule gets eliminated and the left out oxygen of the two hydroxyl group will links the two carbon atom. That means, so if two hydroxyl groups bonded to a particular carbon, so if they interact, so during their interaction, so one water molecule gets eliminated and the left out oxygen will links the two carbon atom. Now assume this is a particular carbon to which it is attached. Like these two, if it is interacted, just to show the representation, I am writing like this. So in the disaccharide structures, we'll try to understand clearly with examples. Now with removal of one water molecule during the interaction of these two, so the left out oxygen will links the two carbon atom and this bond is called as the glycosidic bond or glycosidic linkage. We have three important such disaccharides to learn. The first disaccharide will concentrate on the malt sugar, it is maltose. Next, we'll learn with the milk sugar, lactose, and we learn the cane sugar or invert sugar, that is sucrose. These three we'll try to learn now. So we'll start with the first disaccharide, maltose. If you understand the basic information regarding the maltose, so maltose is commonly known as malt sugar. So all these informations will be for 1 mark important. Structure will be a direct 2 mark question. So you can expect on disaccharides. All the other information will be 1 mark supportive information. So maltose is malt sugar because it is the abundant carbohydrate seen in malt based foods. What are malt based foods? So that is ragi, barley, all these are malt based foods. If you take in that, the abundant carbohydrate seen is maltose. Hence, the name malt sugar is used as a common name for maltose. Then, so all the disaccharides are having the same formula. It is C12H22O11. You can think two monosaccharide C6H12O6, C6H12O6. If it combines, one H2O molecule you remove in the combination, that gives the formula C12H24O12. In that, two hydrogens if you remove, it is H12, one oxygen, it is 11. Now if you consider the maltose, the monomers seen, monomers are building components of the respective polymer, or the monosaccharides in this are, so it is alpha D plus glucose with alpha D plus glucose or beta glucose, either alpha or beta, but the first one should be the alpha glucose to make it as a maltose molecule. Hence, the combining monosaccharides, monomers or combining monosaccharides of maltose is that alpha D glucose is the first one, and the second one may be alpha or beta. If the second one is alpha D glucose, then the maltose formed is called as alpha maltose. If the second monosaccharide is beta D glucose, so then the disaccharide is called as beta maltose. But the first one is same, so it is alpha, and the second one may be alpha or beta. Now between the two, the linkage is that, so the first carbon hydroxyl group of the first monosaccharide and the fourth carbon hydroxyl group of the next monosaccharide will interact. Hence glycosidic bond representation, so we need to write within the bracket. The first number indicates so which carbon's hydroxyl group of the first monosaccharide is interacting, and the second number written indicates so the second monosaccharide which carbon hydroxyl group is involved in the glycosidic linkage. The arrow towards the bond formation. So whatever the first monosaccharide configuration is there, that should be written first to represent the bond. Now glycosidic bond is represented like this: the configuration of the first monosaccharide and the carbon which is involved in glycosidic linkages. Now alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage is seen in maltose. Now if you observe the enzymatic reaction, so how maltose, if it is cleaved, will form. So maltose, if it is the biocatalytical enzyme for degrading the maltose is maltase. So maltase will cleave the maltose into glucose units. It is glucose and glucose. So first one will be alpha, the second one may be alpha or beta. So that will be the enzymatic degradation of maltose. Now this is the basic information regarding the structure. Now we'll try to practice the Havard structure, which is very important for 2 marks. All the disaccharide Havard structure is the most expected question from carbohydrate. So if you practice with names, then the structure will be easy. Now when you're writing the maltose structure, so first you try to write the 2 glucose molecules, alpha and alpha you can prefer for practice. Beta is exceptional, you can remember for 1 mark question as well as for competitive. You just go with alpha D glucoses to write 2 times to practice for structure of maltose. What you can write is that, so you write the 2 glucose structures side by side and try to practice by writing in pencil and give the position of carbon atom numbers, those are involved in glycosidic linkage. Only those carbon numbers, if you specify, it is sufficient. If you want, you can write the numbers for all, but if you concentrate on the carbon atoms which are involved in glycosidic linkage, it will be easy for you to write the structure. Now, except on that carbon, you write the remaining structure. It is CH2OH, HOH, then OHH, then HOH. Again, as it is alpha, so we'll write the as it is structure, then I will show how disaccharide is formed from it. Then another alpha glucose I will write, it is CH2OH, HOH, OHH, HOH. Again, it is alpha, I am writing as the second one, hence it is HOH. Now, so these 2 monosaccharides hydroxyl group is going to interact now. As a result of their interaction, just observe what happens. Now this hydroxyl group, oxygen is left, just assume, and this hydroxyl group is removed now in the form of water. Now assume that oxygen is linking the 2. Hope you are not getting confused. Observe clearly. Now the 2 hydroxyl groups whichever present here, so during their interaction, one H2O is eliminated and oxygen is linking the 2. Now, always after writing the structure, you need to show the arrow like this with the linkage. So glycosidic linkage representation, the first monosaccharide's configuration followed by which carbon is involved in glycosidic linkage. It is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. So then you write the name alpha maltose, or simply you can write it as maltose also. So you can practice more technical names which are helpful for competitive exam. So disaccharide technical name, how to write and all, will concentrate in the competitive classes. So this is the basic information about the first disaccharide. It is maltose. I will try to learn the second one. It is lactose. Again, lactose is having the same molecular formula, C12H22O11. Now, lactose is common. There is commonly known name if you consider the common name of the compound. It is milk sugar. The sugar which is abundant in milk is lactose, and the common name is milk sugar for the lactose. Then, if you consider the simple information so about the compounds, so now we'll try to focus that. If you consider the combining monosaccharides of lactose is that the first monosaccharide is beta D plus galactose. Galactose should be the first monosaccharide, with the second combining monosaccharide again beta D plus glucose. So here you need to remember both should be the beta configurational compounds. The first one should be galactose. You can remember the first letter A here to remember. So then it is L. So galactose first followed by glucose. And the interaction between the two is that, so the first monosaccharide configuration beta, so its first carbon and the fourth carbon of the second will involve in glycosidic linkage. And the linkage here is beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. In the case of maltose, it is alpha 1,4 glycosidic linkage. In the case of lactose, it is beta 1,4 glycosidic linkage. Now the enzyme you can remember. Lactose will be hydrolyzed into galactose plus glucose. So with the enzyme from lactobacilli, enzyme from lactobacilli, so is responsible as a biological enzyme for the cleavage of lactose into glucose and galactose in our living system. So this is additional information for 1 marker. The enzyme hydrolyzing the disaccharide. Now we'll try to focus on the structure. So again, the Havard structure you need to practice. A direct structure will be asked for 2 marker. Any other information, it will be 1 mark. Again, when you are writing here, you write the 2 glucose structures first. And in the first one, at the 4th carbon, you try to change the configuration that will convert it into galactose. Those students who are feeling difficult to practice the galactose directly, so you can just practice of writing the beta D glucoses first and change at the 4th position for the galactose the configuration, then it will be clear for you to write. So in the maltose, you have seen the U-shaped linkage for the disaccharide. Here you will get the N-shaped linkage that we'll try to observe now. So it is CH2OH, H. If it is a glucose, so it will start from H. As it is a galactose, so it is an epimer with respect to 4th, you change that. Then, so the third, it is same OHH. Then H, OH. Here as it is beta, it is OH and H. I will write the monosaccharide first, then I will show the linkage. Then, so it is CH2OH, H, the glucose structure. Then starting from H, OH, OHH, HOH. Then as it is a beta glucose, again it should also be OH. If you write the configuration alpha here, again the structure will be wrong. Let's practice it clearly. So the difference is that in the galactose, this OH should be above, in the glucose it should be below. After writing this, you think N-shaped linkage, easily you can remember. Now these two carbon atoms will interact. Now during their interaction, so this hydroxyl group will interact. One water molecule is eliminated in the process. As a result, you are going to see the linkage as beta for the first configuration, 1 to 4 glycosidic linkage. Alpha 1,4 for maltose, beta 1,4 for lactose. So only you need to practice which are the combining monosaccharides first very clearly. Then you need to go for practicing the structures. Structures are not complicated. If you learn the homosaccharide, that is homopolysaccharide structures, sorry, it is monosaccharide structures clearly, then only it is possible to remember. Now we'll left with the last disaccharide. We'll complete that also. It is sucrose. Sucrose is having the molecular formula C12H22O11. So it is same like the maltose and lactose. If you see the key information of sucrose, so sucrose is commonly known as invert sugar. It's also known as cane sugar. So one of the simple information, so just you can add for the previous cases also. So lactose is as a compound, a disaccharide, it is a dextrorotatory sugar, hence it is dextrose. Similarly, maltose as a disaccharide, so it is also a dextrose. Why I am giving this information is because why sucrose is called as invert sugar, we'll try to learn. Now, whereas sucrose, again sucrose is also dextrose as such, whereas once the compound is present in solution, that is after hydrolysis, levo-rotation predominates over dextrorotation. After hydrolysis, as the levo-rotation predominates over the dextrorotation, so it will become a levo-rotatory sugar. So hence, the solution will rotate the plane polarized light towards left-hand side. Hence, as the configuration is inverted, so which was dextrose earlier as a whole compound, after its hydrolysis will form a levo-rotation. So it is called as invert sugar. Invert sugar or cane sugar is the common name. Now, if you consider the combining monosaccharides here, you can better understand the optical property as invert sugar. So with the monosaccharides optical rotation. Now the first monosaccharide is alpha D plus glucose, as it is plus indicates it is dextrorotatory compound. And the second one is beta D minus fructose. The first one should be alpha, the second one is beta. So here, so if you observe, the plus indicates dextrorotation, minus indicates levo-rotation. After its combination, so that is involved in glycosidic linkage, it is alpha 1,2 glycosidic linkage. The first carbon, anomeric carbon of glucose. The second carbon, again the anomeric carbon of the sucrose, is going to involve in glycosidic linkage. So as both the anomeric carbon atoms are going to involve in that, So it is the only non-reducing sugar. It is considered as the only non-reducing. So because both functional carbon atoms are both anomeric carbon atoms, so they are involved in glycosidic linkage. This already we discussed in the classification as reducing and non-reducing sugar. Sucrose is the only non-reducing, whereas the maltose and lactose, they are reducing sugars. Now, if you observe, after their bonding, the compound is a dextrorotatory compound, but once it is hydrolysis is considered, so levorotation predominates over the dextrorotation. Hence, the compound in solution will be a levorotatory compound. Hence, the optical rotation is inverted. It is called as invert sugar. Now, the enzyme responsible for hydrolysis is that the enzyme hydrolysis for that is enzyme responsible for the hydrolysis of sucrose is that it is invertase. It is also sucrase. It's also called as sucrase. Invertase or sucrase will cleave the sucrose into glucose and fructose unit. Now, if you observe the structure, here the structure what you are going to observe in the textbook is complicated to remember. One of the simplest way you can practice, hence observe the structure clearly. When you are writing the sucrose structure, so first write the glucose structure above. So first write the cyclic rings. Then exactly at this particular position to come, you try to represent a furan ring below to it. A pyran ring and furan ring. So observe that, so these carbon atoms should be in a straight line. So this you try to give significance when you are writing. Then, so you try to write the structures as such. The first one is alpha D glucose. It is CH2OH. H. Here it is HOH, OHH, HOH. As a functional carbon is alpha, OH is below. Then the second monosaccharide is beta D fructose. So write the structure of beta D fructose. So it is CH2OH, H, then it is HOH, then OHH. Then as it is beta, OH above, CH2OH below. As it is the second carbon, the first carbon starting from CH2OH. You can easily remember. So once you write the monosaccharide structures clearly, then go for showing the linkage. When you are showing the linkage, so these hydroxyl groups will interact, and as a result of their interaction, what happens? One water molecule is eliminated, and in the process, we are going to see that the two carbon atoms are linked through a glycosidic linkage. So I can represent that with a bond representation. So this bond formed is alpha 1,2 glycosidic linkage. So you can observe and you can recall the reducing property and non-reducing property to observe. As both the functional group carbon atoms so are involved in glycosidic linkage, so these are not free to reduce the Ferling solution and Tollens reagent, hence sucrose exhibit non-reducing property. Whereas if you observe the previous cases, that is if you take in the lactose, so here the second respective information, that is in the second one, this anomeric carbon is free, it is not involved in glycosidic linkage, is responsible for reducing property of this. If you take maltose, again, so on the second monosaccharide, this anomeric carbon is free, which is not involved in glycosidic linkage, is responsible for its reducing property. Whereas if you consider in the sucrose, so both the anomeric carbon atoms are participated in glycosidic linkage, they are not free to reduce Ferling solution and Tollens reagent, as they are non-reducing in nature. So this completes the disaccharides. We left with a small concept of the polysaccharides, and we'll start with amino acids and proteins along with that in our next class. Thank you.